Our Father, we praise you because you again have displayed your splendor in our students' commitment to learning, in their parents' support of academic excellence, and in our faculty's commitment to teaching. We give you our collective effort and pray that you would use it to glorify your name. In Christ's name we pray.
Welcome to the 2017 closing school ceremonies. It was with a heavy heart that I led the HLS faculty and students without Mrs. Lowe on my side this morning. As you know, she's battling cancer. She's in good spirits. She hates missing today, but simply does not have the stamina right now to sit through both a closing school ceremony and a graduation ceremony. I told Mrs. Lowe I'm in relatively decent health, but I don't have the stamina to sit through closing school ceremonies and graduation ceremonies either. This is our 7th ceremony this week. I'll admit that there was one thing I did not miss about Ms. Lowe not being here this morning. How Mrs. Lowe could walk in and examine this HLS awards table here, ask a few not so innocent questions. She knew what she was doing. And she could send the entire HLS administration, teachers, and everyone into a panic because we either forgot something or we needed to add something literally at the very last moment. And she was always correct. Now while I may be slightly relieved that Mrs. Lowe did not make those last minute edits, we also want to get that last minute advice, encouragement, and the to-the-point words of wisdom, again, that only Mrs. Lowe seems to be able to provide. I tried to think of an example of that so our students, parents would know. Came up with last year. Last year, just before the graduation ceremonies, I always get nervous before speeches. I really hate giving speeches, but she makes me do it. I've been known to get very emotional, sometimes cry, particularly at the senior speeches. I don't know what it is. Sometimes it's the slightest memory. Sometimes it's just looking at the seniors and the tears start to roll. Last year I had 20 senior speeches to give. And we were sitting right on this stage, right back there, Ms. Lowe and I. And it was during the PAA suit, which is the song that's right before the senior speeches. And I started getting a little nervous. And I whispered over to Mrs. Lowe, I said, I don't think I can get through all of these. Now Mrs. Lowe, she's very formal. She's not going to talk during a song. She will not talk during a lecture. She will not even acknowledge that you said something to her. But in this instance, she leaned over, she kind of whispered, just don't speak until you're ready. And then the song continued. I thought she was done. That was good enough for me. And then she just kind of said, collect your thoughts. Okay? And the song ended. So I started grabbing my materials and supplies and started walking up, and she just said, Sean, take a deep breath. It was simple. It was perfect. It's advice that I need for today. Because when you stop to think really about why we're all here today, it's 100% because of Mrs. Lowe. Many years ago, she stood up and she walked to a microphone. I'm sure she was filled with nerves and self-doubt, but she collected her thoughts. She took a deep breath. In spite of the naysayers, undeterred by those who said she could not do it, she did not just have to give a speech. She laid out a vision for a school, and then she created this school. I doubt many people in here, me included, understand the courage it must have taken to stand up and say, I want a classical Christian school in Louisville, Kentucky, where Latin will be the foundation of our curriculum. Students will take Latin every year. They will eventually master and learn all Latin grammar before they enter high school. Then, in Mrs. Lowe's words, they'll have the privilege to translate the great Latin authors and poets while they're still in high school. I was not there to hear those first speeches, but I was around long enough to hear more than a few people say, that woman is crazy. That will never work. She was not an immediate success, and I'm sure behind closed doors, or perhaps even to her face, she was patronized, lectured to. She was told how a school should really be run. And I never saw her get angry or just never quit. She did not falter. She would not back down. She kept walking to a microphone. She would take a deep breath, and she presented her vision of a school over and over again. She's relentless. She's always been relentless. Now, I remember the first time I met Mrs. Lowe. It was the summer probably between my freshman and sophomore years in college, over 20 years ago. I don't know what brought me to Louisville, to Brian Lowe's house. We were going there or something, but I do distinctly remember meeting Mrs. Lowe. Brian took me to this little room over top of the garage, or kind of a little warehouse. It was very tiny, but it had been converted to an office. And there were papers and books and worksheets all over the place in there. These odd-looking blue pamphlets, which I had to call Brian and ask what were those. He said, I think you saw Mom's first version of First Form Latin. Mrs. Lowe was kind of apologizing for the mess, but she was really excited to show Brian and me what she'd been working on. She never mentioned anything about school. Maybe she was tutoring some students in Latin, but she was just so excited about Latin. Then she turned and looked at me and said, did you take Latin in high school? Are you taking Latin in college? Now, Brian had to take Latin in college. He had no choice. But I said, no, ma'am, I'm not taking Latin. And then she gave me that look I've come to know quite well. She drops her glasses, looks at me, and then sits down and tries to teach me the first declension. I did get away from her for a second, and I told Brian, your mom's crazy. Now, Mrs. Lowe hates this story. I'm going to tell it because Mr. Lowe tells the story too. And I can hide behind him in this story here. But I think it's important to kind of know the passion she had for what she was doing. So that very same day, we went to the kitchen, and Mr. Lowe was in there, and Andy was home from school, Andy, Lowe, and Brian, and we were just talking, and Brian moves towards the refrigerator. And Mr. Lowe, in his kind of slow country accent, which is fine, he says, Brian, don't open that. There's nothing in the refrigerator. When your boys went to college, your mom stopped cooking. All she does is Latin now. Now, I know why she hates that story. It's because Mrs. Lowe is a fabulous cook. She spent pretty much a full year working in the HLS lunchroom, or in the cafeteria, making and perfecting her own recipes for our hot lunch program with her daughter-in-law, Lilo, and Mrs. Schmidt. And so when I tell this story, she makes it sound like she doesn't like to cook. But I also will say that if it came between Mrs. Lowe having to check on a dinner casserole in the oven or finishing a Latin worksheet, the casserole is cooked. It's done. Mrs. Lowe has received all of your cards and many well wishes. Thank you to all the students that are here today and from Spring Meadows who provided her with these cards over the past month. And thank you for Ms. Melcher for organizing such an effort. Please keep them coming. I really pray that Mrs. Lowe realizes that all of her hard work, her determination, her dedication has culminated in not just a school. It has literally shaped the lives of thousands and thousands of students, families, and teachers. There's no doubt in my mind that Mrs. Lowe's vision of a classical Christian school is emblazoned on the hearts and souls of many HLS students. Someday our children, my children, will grow into young adults. They will graduate from HLS. They will graduate from college. They'll begin careers. They'll start a family. And before long, they will look for a school for their own children. They will expect nothing short of a Mrs. Lowe's school. And if wherever in the world they find themselves, and they cannot find a school that lives up to that standard, Mrs. Lowe taught them to have courage. Step up to a microphone. Take a deep breath. Be courageous in the face of naysayers and doubters. And you can present her vision of her school. Thank you, Mrs. Lowe, for giving us Highlands Latin School. Mrs. Lowe would also like to give many thanks to all those parents for choosing HLS. The funny thing about Mrs. Lowe, when she would give her speeches, she would always sit down and think, no one is coming. She always never thought that we were the opposite. We're like, that was amazing. And then she was always so impressed and so happy that families chose Highlands Latin School. She knows it's not an easy curriculum or an easy road to toe. And so she was very grateful and thankful for all those families over these many, many years who put their faith and trust in her and in the school. She's also in continual awe of our teachers who are kind of scattered throughout, of all that you've accomplished. She sets the bar quite high on what she wants done in the classroom, and the teachers rise to that challenge. There's nothing more challenging or rewarding than teaching a class, and a great teacher is a blessing. I've said it before, but if anyone could find a school, local or far away, with more great teachers than at HLS, then let me know. I'd like to enroll my children there. So on behalf of Mrs. Lowe and myself, thank you and everyone for taking time out of your day to be part of the Highlands Latin School ceremony and for making the school a reality. Thank you. So now I'd like to move into the awards portion of the ceremony. Now, please bear in mind we have a lot of awards, but we'll move quickly, but we'll also have someone taking pictures as well. Students. Not every student will receive an award, we know this, but every award winner was part of a great HLS class. And through the efforts of the teachers and the encouragement of all classmates, award winners will be announced for various things in penmanship, math, Latin, always Horatius at the Bridge, the House Awards, and the Book Awards. So starting the award ceremony today will be Mr. Jason Bora with the penmanship awards for the Crescent Hill 3rd through 6th grade. Thank you.
Mrs. Hatfield, the author of New American Cursive, could not be here today, but she always stresses that good penmanship is the mark of a self-disciplined and detail-oriented scholar. Legible, beautiful cursive is an important life skill that we emphasize at HLS. The ability to put words on a page with speed, legibility, beauty requires discipline, patience, and accuracy. Valuable life skills that contribute to excellence in every subject and in every endeavor in life. Students, please continue to put forth your best effort and attitude as you work hard to improve your penmanship. The following students exemplified great penmanship throughout the year and were selected as 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade winners of the 2017 Penmanship Award. For 3rd grade, Annabelle Plummer and Matthias Trocan. Caroline White and Gabriel Trocan. The 5th grade. The anticipations ratcheting up. Sophia Helms and Bo Hamilton. In 6th grade, Tess McGar and Isaiah Gross. students, you may return to your seat. Now Mr. Wigley is going to present the math awards.
This year marks the 8th year that HLS is recognizing its top math students in grades 4 through 8. Now, Highlands Latin School may be known for our strong academics, but sometimes our math and science programs get overlooked due to such a strong emphasis on Latin and literature. When I checked the numbers, and 42% of our graduates over the past 4 years have gone on to pursue degrees in math and science over the last 4 years. So, becoming strong in math and science requires discipline, obviously, organization, efficiency, creativity, some humility, but ultimately the courage to keep moving forward. Students were selected for math awards based on a high math class average, but also their perseverance, their participation, and their desire to improve. I will call all the students to the stage, and I'd like for them all to stage like the penmanship awards, but we'll start with the 4th grade class. From Mrs. Mangione's class, Molly Louise Denley. And from Mrs. Martin's class, Josiah Wallage. From our 5th grade class, Miss Cross, Abigail Dove. From Miss Fuller's class, Aiden Enright. From Miss Taylor's 6th grade class, Allie Pierre. And from Mr. Lewis's class, George Hall. Now our 7th grade classes, there are actually 4 classes in our upper school, 7th grade. Now the Spring Meadows had their closing school ceremony 3rd through 6th on Wednesday. So we'll have 4 winners, 2 from Crescent Hill, 2 from Spring Meadows for pre-algebra, 7th grade pre-algebra. The 2 from Crescent Hill students are 7th grade, and they may be up there, so be moving quickly. Olivia Vickery and Bernard Dawson. In 8th grade, which is algebra, 2 students, I'm sorry, let me get Spring Meadows, I'm sorry. The 2 Spring Meadows students in pre-algebra, sorry, get 4, are Robbie Bowley and Gracie Redmond. The 8th grade studies algebra at both campuses. From Crescent Hill, the 2 students are Sarah Beth Plummer and Lily Hamilton. And the algebra award winners from Spring Meadows, Casey Johnson and Judah Murdoch. Congratulations, math scholars. You want me to see it? Now the 6th grade Horatio at the Bridge Challenge has become part of the HLS tradition, and some may say lore. This year saw 50 students take on the challenge and succeed, our largest number to date. What once started out as sort of a friendly challenge has taken on a life of its own at HLS. Some 6th grade students choose to memorize and recite the 70 stanzas of Lord Macaulay's famous ballad celebrating the feat of a brave Roman soldier, Horatius. Reciting the poem from memory takes approximately 17 to 18 minutes. The poem itself is a classic. It's not uncommon for English school children to memorize the entire poem. It is said that Winston Churchill recited the poem from memory while a student at Harrow's in London. And so we challenge our students to follow in the footsteps of Winston Churchill, hence the Winston Churchill Award. I'd also like to thank all the long-suffering parents for taking on this challenge as well. You too deserve a medal. It'll be in the mail. Students, when I call your name, you'll receive your medal from your teacher, Mrs. Taylor and Mr. Lewis. Please remain up, and you also receive a certificate from Mr. Moore. Please remain up for the picture. Remember, this is about half of our total number because we already did the Spring Meadows students in the 6th grade. All right. So, 6th grade, be ready to move. Micah Arnold. Lydia Vaughn. Joey Ferraro. Alessandro Garza. Isaiah Gross. George Hall. Trevor Pickle. Tess McGar. Annie Mangione. Kale McCall. Jacob Merrick. Stella Montgomery. Allie Pierre. Chloe Pierre. Lily Price. Isla Prayer. Oliver Neal. See all of that person here. Anna Riddle. Mason Rizzo. Eli Robson. Griffin Sapanic. Jane Singleton. Elliot Trocan. Renee Wheatley. All right, we'll see if we can get them all up there. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2017 Winston Churchill. Students, you may be seated. Now we'll have Dr. Didi come up for our Latin Awards. Very hard act to follow.
Last March, 313 HLS students took the National Latin exam. At our annual NLE Awards ceremonies in April, 290 students received awards for scoring above average on the various levels of the NLE. 113 students received gold medals, 54 received silver medals, and 7 were recognized for achieving a perfect score. In Kentucky, 17 students earned a perfect paper out of over 1,000 that have taken the exam. 7 of those students attend HLS. The following students achieved a perfect score and will receive a congratulatory letter and a hand-lettered certificate, sometimes summer, so these are given to us. Students, when I call your name, please stand where you are so that we may recognize you. Ali Pierre. Now, that was only 5 of the 7. 2 of those 7 students achieved something that is so rare that I could have easily overlooked it. The Carter Stubbs Drake Goad Memorial Book Award, clearly designed by a committee that made it, is an award given to students who've earned perfect scores on 3 or more exams beyond the introductory level. Only 21 students out of over 140,000 participants in 17 countries earned this award. Until this year, it never occurred to me to keep track of how many perfect papers students had earned. Students, when I call your name, please come forward for your book award. 2 students who achieved this are Meg Booker and Rachel Kim. Another level of special recognition from the American Classical League is the Maureen O'Donnell Award of an Oxford Classical Dictionary for students who earned 4 gold medals on 4 different levels of the NLE. And we have many students who earned more than 4 gold medals that don't qualify for the award because it must be on 4 different levels. This year we have 8 students who have achieved this remarkable feat who, when I call their names, should come forward to receive your book. Joe Arnold. Jacqueline Ray. And Davis Henderson. Students remain on stage for a moment. I want to invite one other student to come up here with you. This student has distinguished herself by earning 5 gold medals on 5 different levels and 6 gold medals in all. Earning her 2nd Maureen O'Donnell Award, but with a different book this time, is Maggie Roll. this year is the Honors Caesar exam. The first great work that students translate is Julius Caesar's commentary on the Gallic War. By the end of their 9th grade year, students will have read all of the selections, which are on the AP Latin syllabus, something that even C.S. Lewis says he did not accomplish. It is a significant milestone in our 9th graders' academic careers. While all of them deserve our praise, a select few of them performed well enough on the honors exam to warrant special recognition. Students, when I call your names, please come forward to receive your Caesar pin. In no particular order, as they have demanded the percentiles and the order from me, but in no particular order. Patrick Leonard. Alex Harris. And Luke Watson.
The house system is... Right. The house system is simply a structure. It's a set of events, it's a set of rules, it's a set of roles. Its purpose is to promote the values that we hold so dear at Highlands Latin. And though the events and the rules and the roles have been designed to bring about that very end, the success of the house system is completely dependent on those that understand and embody the values that are the aim of the house system. And so as the director of the house system, I am repeatedly humbled and encouraged by the students and the teachers and the parents that give so much in order to promote community and service within our school. So, before the awards are handed out, I just want to take a moment to offer my deepest gratitude to those that have given their time, their energy, and their efforts to the house system in particular. First of all, I need to thank the parents that bring their children to events, that help set up for events, that come to service projects. Students, would you please take a moment to thank your parents for all the help they do? I have to thank the students that have boldly and humbly led their houses this year. This is an absolutely remarkable group of students, and they embody the character and the leadership that we hope marks all HLS students. So I'm going to call their names. They're just going to stand where they are, except for heads of house. Please come to the forward when you come forward, and you're going to stay up here when we do. But we will list the different roles within the house leadership. So from the house of Andrew, the house scribe, Danielle Fuller. Please stand. Parliamentarian, Helen Mariah Burdock. House tenant, India Rose Carey. And if you would come forward, your head of house for the house of Andrew, Simon Heinrock. From the house of David, the house scribe, Faith Thibodeau. Parliamentarian, Caitlin Miller. House tenant, Hannah Thibodeau. And Patrick. From the House of George, House of Drive, Anna Callahan. Joseph Powell. House Senate, Frankie Booker. And the non-independent House of George, Matt Michelle. From the House of Patrick, and House Scribe, Ms. Kate Jarbo. And the head of the house, Joe Barber. And last but not least, I have to thank the people that basically made everything that we do possible. That is our faculty advisors. These are the ones that fearlessly lead our leaders, that give them their time, their wisdom, help guide them as they guide fellow students. So without giving their names, would my faculty advisors please rise, and students, please thank them for all of our work. So, the point of points is to encourage the characteristics that we hold value. And we divide those into 5 categories. And each house does their best to accumulate as many points in those categories. The most points for the entire year is the one that wins the house championship. For each individual category, we do give a certificate for those who have the house that has exemplified particularly that category. So the first is the academic reward. Beyond simply GPA, those are the students that have taken time to be a part of Science Olympiad and represent our school there, that have done well in geography meet, or also have won golds in NLE, as well as other various ways that they have demonstrated academic rigor and success. And this year, the house with the most points in that specific category is the house of Andrew. Category of arts, and this category awards students for their participation in the aspects of our school that facilitate the production and the appreciation of beauty, particularly through the arts. This aim was particularly kind of highlighted this year with the amazing productions of both Pirates of Penzance as well as Sherlock Holmes. But this category also includes those who are willing to stand in front of their peers and others and perform a solo or read a recitation, whether they're part of a play, whether they're part of art club, if they did anything that served our school in terms of appreciating and loving the arts. And the house that accumulated the most points in this specific category is the House of George. This year at Spring Meadows, we shook our fist at Mr. Zeus and his thunderbolts and lightning, and we were able to have all of our athletic events inside a beautiful gym. It was quite wonderful, and we were actually able to have competitions throughout the entire year, so that was great. We also, you can accumulate points through participation in one of our many sports teams. We have an incredibly rigorous academic expectations. We have students that give even more of their time participating in our athletic teams and representing our school school in that way as well. So through those different ways, you can accumulate points for the athletic award. And this year, the team that won the most points in that category, or I should say the house that won that, is the house of Patrick. Now, the spirit category, other than the category that is where everything that doesn't fit the other categories goes, the spirit category represents those that kind of participate, that are bringing the excitement that we want, that encourages the character that we desire. And there are many, many different things, including any random competition that Mr. Brooks creates in his mind, also fits in this category. And there are quite a few of those. The spirit category also includes attending games, supporting our athletic teams, having house lunches so that they encourage community throughout the day, putting on social events for their houses or for other houses as well, conducting house meetings. We've also had a few competitions, such as pumpkin carving competition, and our 5th annual derby race, which this year I think had a second-degree squash sighting. Is that correct? Okay, so a second-degree squash sighting at our derby event, so that was fantastic. Now, the house award I will give in just a moment, but there are 4 students that we came to directly, and we asked them to kind of encourage or to foster kind of a pep or a spirit or a way to kind of get people excited about some of the things we do. And these 4 students stepped up and helped that. I'm going to ask them to just stand really quickly and then I'll announce. But Mitchell Halsema, Kate Jarbo, Audrey Dick, and the flipping Josiah Gomez. The competition for spirit, that actually goes to the house of David. Okay, now the last category, and the one that we try to emphasize quite strongly, is the service award category. Knowledge is empty if it is not used to benefit others and draw them to love God. And that is why classical Christian education is not merely about learning new things. It is about becoming good people, a central aspect of which is serving others. So this year our students gave, and this does not include the parents who so generously gave their time as well, they gave over 450 man-hours to serving our community, those who were less fortunate and those who were in need. Students also gain points in this category by helping out in carpools, so letting, welcoming, bringing younger students, and so that they feel comfortable as they come into the school, helping others who are sick by recording homework, and helping around any other way that is needed, particularly in some of the ways that Mr. Thomas and I just decided that they need to help us, and they do that. But we also have, one of the ways that we encourage this character is that teachers will write nominations. Basically what a nomination is just a recognition of somebody who has done something that is significant, is worth note. And we gain a lot of service points through nominations. We also have service projects where we go out to the community and serve. But within each house we have students that kind of were exemplars, they actually were exemplars in terms of their service to both our school as well as the surrounding community. And so we do have certificates for our individual service awards from each house, and if you can come forward and grab those as I announce your names. From the house of Andrew, our wonderful servants are Ms. Meg Booker, Avery Hamill, Jacob Fox, and India Rose Carey. From the house of David, Hannah Thibodeau, Tanner Petrie, James Riley, Emily Grace Hammer, and Annie Husser. From the house of George, Emma Grace McCoy, Lily Hamilton, Frankie Booker, Eliana Bitter, and Danielle Young. And from the House of Patrick, Drew Watson, Rachel McGraw, Kate Jarbo, and Aaron McGraw. Serve need help as well. Now this comes to probably my favorite award. Many years ago, some of you may remember Mr. Glenn Moore, who was an absolute extreme example of service to our school. And 8 years ago, Mr. Wheatley decided to create an award that specifically recognizes a student that exemplifies the service that we saw in Mr. Moore. And so, this type of service is not limited to service projects or merely points attained, though that is certainly something that is looked at. It also speaks to the attitude and atmosphere the student promotes in the classroom with his fellow students. The student that we are going to honor this year is one that has attended service projects and received many nominations. But even more, he is constantly seen interacting with students from different grades, encouraging students to persevere, commiserating with them in terms of difficult tests that they have taken and difficult things that he has overcome, and even provides an appropriate sense of humor to the extent that he wins awards from the teachers for his puns. This year, from the House of Andrew, the Glenn Moore Service Award goes to Mr. Simon Heinbach. Thank you very much. So, as is the case with most years, a close house race. You may notice I did not tell the service winner. The reason why is because normally the service points sway a very close race. So the winner of the category of service will this year determine this year's house champion as well. In the history of the house system, not including this year's winner, the House of Andrew has won twice, the House of David has won 4 times, the House of George has won 4 times, and the House of Patrick has won twice. So, without further ado, the winner of the category of service and the House champion, and the first house in the history of the House competition to win 2 championships in a row is the House of Patrick.
Has been a part of the curriculum here at Highlands Latin School for many years. It was initially graded by default because students were excellent upon reaching high school at navigating their way around the ancient Near Eastern world. They weren't quite sure where Jordan was, Syria. And that became a concern for us, and so it was incorporated into our school. Geography finishes in 7th grade. And it is an opportunity for students to increase their global awareness, to know about the larger world around us, to experience cultures, ideas, places that they would not otherwise. Each year we hold the National Geography Week, and the idea is to foster and cultivate a knowledge and a passion for the field and subject of geography. We've been holding the National Geography Meet for several years here at Highlands. I think this was year 6. And it's an exciting time. It's open to students in 7th and 8th grade from both campuses. They compete in a preliminary round, followed by an intense, busy round of 10 questions on the day of the final geography competition. On the day of the final competition, we were down to 2 finalists. And our finalists were asked the question, the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument is located off the coast of which state? I don't know how I pronounced that the first time. And I doubt I pronounced it correctly this time. However, one student successfully answered this final round question correctly when she stated Hawaii. And that student and the winner of the Highlands Latin School National Geography Meet was Miss Sydney Petra. So as our winner, Sydney receives our Highlands Latin School Pinnacle of the World Award.
Each spring, the Rotary Club of Louisville honors service-oriented high school seniors from area public and private schools with the Unsung Hero Award. This award is based on the Rotary principle, service above self. Recipients of the award attend a banquet with over 500 community leaders in attendance. The senior from HLS selected for this award can be described as a quiet leader. She is kind, considerate, and loyal to our school and her classmates. She's unsung because her work is usually behind the scenes, serving as tenant at the House of David, setting the stage and orchestrating the lights at our drum performances, and quietly sketching to prepare for her art portfolio. On behalf of Highlands Latin School, its administration, teachers, and students, please join me in recognizing our unsung hero, Hannah Thibodeau. Students from across the state of Kentucky compete for 2 very selective summer programs, Kentucky Governor's Scholars Program and Kentucky Governor's School for the Arts. Students are chosen for Kentucky Governor's Scholars Program based on an extensive application detailing their academic achievements, extracurricular activities, and service. Applicants indicate their academic interests and, if selected, are assigned a specific focus for the summer. Students spend 5 weeks living on one of 3 college campuses in Kentucky studying these subjects. The students who complete the summer program are awarded generous scholarships to in-state colleges and universities. Last summer, 2 students from HLS were selected to participate in Kentucky Governor's Scholars Program. Students of Phil Sand, Jack Spurlock studied political and legal issues at Murray State, and Tanner Petrie studied international relations at Morehead. Before being invited to audition. Those selected spend 3 weeks living on campus in Center College in Danville, Kentucky. Participants are immersed in the arts as they study and develop their specific art forms. They study with college professors, coaches, and other students from across the state. Students forge lasting friendships and, like GSP, earn scholarships at in-state colleges and universities. Last summer, Hannah Thibodeau was selected to study studio art. Please join me in congratulating Hannah. Statewide summer Cameroon will present national merit.
Last year, over 1.6 million juniors from 20,000 schools took the National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. Of these, less than 4% received some form of national merit commendation. The most basic level of distinction is awarded to those who score among the top 50,000 students. It may not seem special to receive an award of 50,000 other students, but considering there were about 4 million juniors last year, it's pretty special. That's less than 2%. These honored students received letters of commendation. This year, 2 of our graduating seniors received letters of commendation. They'll come forward and receive those. Morton Barr and Jack Spurlock. The next level of commendation is awarded to 16,000 students. In addition to top test scores, it requires a detailed application that demonstrates excellence both in school and outside of it. As an example of this excellence, I'd like to point out that in addition to being top students, all of the students receiving commendation, including Morton and Jack here, are members of the student band that played last night in the final argument. On their new album, which is available on iTunes, there's a song called The Sea, inspired by their time in Mr. Yonkey's class reading Moby Dick. In recognition of the excellence of 2 of our graduating seniors have been honored as National Merit finalists, and those are Joe Arnold and Tanner Patchford. Well done.
As Mr. Brooks pointed out, years ago we created a Glenmore Service Award for an HLS student who, like Mr. Moore, joyfully served the HLS student body in any and all tasks. Although Mr. Moore is now serving in the mission fields in Nepal with current HLS student named Bush, the spirit at HLS lives on because he made a difference. Often, it is a teacher who you model your behavior after, or you look to in the hallway to share the good and sometimes the bad news. A great teacher is more than just a friend or a buddy, but a great teacher is a mentor and a guide. HLS has been blessed to have the experienced mentor and expert teacher in our hallways for the past 13 years. I first met Mr. Ken Dennis at an HLS open house when, after it was over, asked if he could be a history teacher at our school. Now, Mr. Dennis had already worked 28 years in the Jefferson County Public Schools. He then moved on to teach another 8 years in the parochial schools. But Mr. Dennis has spent the last 13 years teaching at Highlands Latin School. To add that up, Mr. Dennis has devoted 48 years of his life to students. Mr. Dennis is a professional teacher, and I do not use that word lightly. He teaches with enthusiasm, great content, humor, and intrigue. He has the highest expectations for his students. Don't come to class without your homework, and don't chew gum. And they respect him immensely. Mr. Dennis is a part of our fabric at HLS. From this point forward, I'd like to recognize an HLS teacher with the Ken Dennis Outstanding Teacher Award. I'd like to recognize Mr. Dennis today, having come forward, please, and please join me in recognizing Mr. Dennis. In the awards, each year we choose students from each grade, 7 through 12, to receive a special recognition for the Outstanding Student Book Award. This award is based on academics, but also on attitude, leadership, character, work ethic, and service to their classmates, teachers, and school. This is not just a simple GPA award. The award for Outstanding Student for the year is nothing else but a beautiful book of classic literature. Each book is signed with a personal note from one of their outstanding HLS teachers. All of these books on the stage are either a Harvard Library edition of the Greek and Latin classics, or Frederick Copleston's masterful exposition on Greek and Roman philosophy, as our 11th graders take a philosophy course with Mr. McDonald. It is our hope that the book award winners today in receiving this award will always fondly remember their teacher and their alma mater, Highlands Latin School. Our gift award for the 7th grade is the Loeb Library edition of the Odyssey, which the students read this year in classical studies, while also studying Greek. Since we have 4 7th grade classes between 2 campuses, we will have 4 book award winners. Winners, I'd like for you all to stay up here in 7th and 8th grade, that is, for pictures. The book award winners from Spring Meadows were described by their teachers as intellectually curious, willing to learn, and work very hard. Both are tenacious in the classroom, but both students are also very well respected by their peers, and they serve as a model of not just academic, but of social excellence. To receive these beautiful books, signed with a personal note from their classical studies teacher, Mr. Brooks, are Spring Meadows 7th graders, Connor Wilson and Juliana Sizemore. The 7th grade book award winners from Crescent Hill were described by their teachers as thorough, eloquent, conscientious, always giving their best effort. These students have always seemed a bit mature for their grade, and I like that because they seem to keep their classes in line a little bit. To receive these beautiful books, signed with a personal note from their classical studies teacher, Miss Mead, are Isabel, Daniel, and Owen Meyer. So I'll move to the 8th grade. We have 4 8th grade classes between the 2 campuses, and from the 2 Spring Meadows 8th grade classes, the boy is described as mature, steady, humorous, and a careful listener. He also is a supremely talented artist who served as the main cog behind the scenes in 2 of our HLS drama productions this year. And if you're wearing a Sherlock Holmes shirt this summer, he's the artist. The girl is described as kind, careful, hardworking, and consistent. She is a leader in her class, and someone who may appear to be sweet and innocent, but she is a fighter, and I know she's worked very hard in her class this year. The gift is a Loeb Library edition of the Aeneid in Latin and English. To receive these beautiful books, signed with a personal note from their classical studies teacher, Mrs. Casewell, are Daniel Young and Lily Luce. We are 7th and 8th grade junior high book award winners. Wait a second, there's so many 8th graders. Oh, okay, first of all. Okay, from our 2 Crescent Hill classes, these students could be best described as quiet, but in the classroom they're extremely insightful, engaged, and are great participators. Neither student seems to really like the limelight. nor do they strive to be first. They are simple, humble, hardworking, great classmates. To receive this award, signed by their classical studies teacher, Mrs. Pierce, Preston Hill 8th grade book award winners, Emily Grace Hanger and A.J. Mangini. Now we have the entire 7th grade book award winners. Seated. The 9th grade winners, we have 2 9th grade classes, so we'll have 2 winners. The 9th grade winners will receive a copy of the low edition of Caesar's Gallic Wars in Latin and English. The girl is described as earnest, hardworking, thoughtful, and full of literary insight. She's a good athlete. She can be found at virtually every HLS function as well, either participating or cheering on her classmates. The boy is a dedicated, humble, great in classroom discussions as well. I personally love talking baseball with this young man. He's so passionate about the game, and it's a pleasure to talk with him. To receive these book awards signed by your classics teacher, Ms. Jonke, are Chloe Walrad and Levi Schenberry. The 10th grade book award winners will receive the Loeb Library edition of Cicero's Against Catiline in Latin and English. The 10th grade girl has always been a dedicated student who makes insightful comments that elevate the class discussion. But this year, I have to notice a sense of calmness, an easygoing attitude, a great sense of humor, ability to laugh at herself. She just seems to be like the type of girl you want to get to know better and better. She's so interesting. The 10th grade boy is described by the teacher as thorough, hardworking, and great in the classroom as well. He may be best known for his scholarship, but he also can be found from time to time, particularly after school or HLS functions, heading up with his friends and just having a great time. To receive these book awards signed by their classics teacher, Ms. Jonke, are Hattie Hume and Davis Henderson. The 11th grade book award is The History of Philosophy, a book by a Jesuit teacher, Frederick Holston. Our 11th grade students study philosophy this year, and this beautiful book will be awarded to 2 students from our 11th grade class. The 11th grade boy is very bright, but he's humble. His academic interests lie in virtually every subject, as Mr. Dickey has told me. He does not appear to have any academic weaknesses or even a disinterest. He's a fine athlete and one of the top pitchers on HLS's state championship team. He also has a great sense of humor, a good singing voice, and he's a pleasure to speak with. The 11th grade girl is an exceptionally hard worker. You will rarely see her down, but she's best characterized as being positive, uplifting, encouraging, and fun. People like to be around her because she's so approachable. It is with great pride and excitement that I present the history of philosophy signed by your classical studies teacher, Mr. McDonald, to Kate Jarbo and Matthew Rouse. The senior class has 11 students. One of them will receive a copy of the Loeb Library edition of Confessions by St. Augustine. The senior is described as one who leads by example, takes on new challenges, and a model of maturity and hard work. He's easygoing, laid back, always calm, even in the wake of a storm. He is very involved in HLS athletics, but his passion for sports and the time commitment that it takes has never hampered his enthusiasm or interest in taking some of the most challenging HLS courses as well. To receive a copy of Augustine's Confessions, signed by the Christian Studies teacher, Mr. Thomas Eli Young. Our 9th through 12th grade 2017 book award winners.
We give honor to these students, and we give honor to our God, not to us, God, not to us, God, not to us, but to you we give our honor and glory. Students, let us stand and sing, "No Nobis Domine." Lustfully and beautifully, fill this room with heaven.
Sicut et nos dimittimus territoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera
we love